Good day, everybody. I'm Steve Farrell, and I'm co-founder and worldwide coordinating director of Humanitysteam. You can see who I am with here on screen, Dr. Bruce Lipton. Bruce, welcome to the program. Woo!
I'm so excited. You know, I love to come and speak with you anytime, Steve, but you know what I really like? Our audience. Our audience are people that are seeking answers outside of the box, because inside the box, there's a lot of chaos going on in there. And guess what? The answers are not inside the box. The box is the cause of the problem. So I appreciate everybody online with us, because this is an opportunity to say, knowledge is power. And we have been programmed with misperceptions, which means we have lost our power. And I want to thank you, Steve, for giving an opportunity to talk about this power. And especially, you know, I love my dear brother, Greg. So he's great. I love him, support him in any way possible.
All right. Yes. And we'll be talking about a new collaboration with Bruce and Greg Braden here, too. Great to have you with us. I'm going to give Bruce a proper introduction here in a moment. But before I do, just hey, big shout out to all of the audiences watching. As Bruce mentions, we're doing this for viewers. I love hanging out with Bruce. We have the most marvelous hour, but it's about conscious living. It's about this journey, you know, to this future that we're creating for ourselves, for the collective, for mankind, for humankind. That's really what this program is about. And boy, we're going to get to some juicy information here relating to that. So Bruce Lipton's audience on Facebook, John Raymer and the Sign Network, Humanitysteam friends, Humanitystream Plus members who were in the green room with us. So big shout out to all of you. Thank you for being here. Now, this is a live program, so that means that we can go to questions and comments that you have. I've got a screen here just behind me in the studio, and we bring back most of the questions and comments that we can see. So the earlier in the program you bring something in, the better chance that I'll be able to bring it to Bruce here during the hour. Okay, so our theme this week is we are the masters of our biology, which is exactly what Bruce was getting to here a moment ago as we talk about who we are, how we're put together, what our opportunity is in life. So let me formally introduce Bruce. Bruce H. Lipton, PhD, is an esteemed stem cell biologist and an internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirit, using his scientific research and background to fundamentally change how we perceive our states of being and empower us to all make decisions that impact our personal and collective future positively. He is the best-selling author of The Biology of Belief and recipient of the 2009 Gore Peace Award, along with his many accomplishments as a keynote and guest speaker. I'm very excited to have Bruce joining me today to discuss how we are masters of our biology and the ways we can empower ourselves for better health, happiness, and longevity. So, boy, we're going to get to all of that, and so much to get to. Bruce, we were, just before we came on, when you and I were in the green room, boy, we were getting into a pretty juicy conversation there, where I was sharing, you know, that probably our viewers realize here, several weeks ago, about a month ago, the Nobel Prize was announced in physics for entanglement. So now the thing is Bruce was out with this, with other scientists, Greg Braden, Dean Radin, you know, decades ago, just when people would just look at him with askance of what, you know, this entanglement and connection and oneness and all of these things, and we're the controller of our minds and destiny. And Bruce, he was a pioneer. So it's like he was going to stay with truth. And he did, and was out with audiences in the early days and writing his book, The Biology of Belief. And now it's coming to fruition where we've got Nobel Prizes being awarded. It's a shame, really, that pioneers like Bruce, that were out with this way back in the day when nobody paid attention at all, don't get that recognition. So we'll give him a little recognition here. Yay, Bruce. All right. So Bruce, just if you want to, you know, elaborate a little on that. In the early days, you know, you were bringing this out, and also the bridge to spirituality. And you were saying, boy, they try and beat that out of you, spirituality, when you're going through your scientific rigor.
Really a true fact in the field of sciences in universities. Science has never used the opportunity to talk about something called spirit, those invisible forces, consciousness, and like that. They kept that out. It was just actually based on a Newtonian view of the world. And you go, what does that mean? I go, Newton subdivided the universe into two different realms. He said there's a material, physical realm, and there's an invisible energy type realm. But he also said the realms never talk to each other. So that meant whatever was physical could only be affected by something physical, and energy could affect energy, but they didn't interact. So that says if you understand the body, then all you have to understand is the chemistry of the body, and then you'll understand how everything works, the physical body. So we took it apart, and they get to the bottom, they think, and they find the DNA. And it's really interesting because as I was teaching in the medical school, the conventional curriculum, which is that DNA, the genes, control our life. Very interesting story is in science, this was referred to as the central dogma. I say, what is that? And I say, Francis Crick. Now you got to remember it's Watson and Crick that came forth with the DNA double helix story. A little Me Too generation note here is that they did not discover the DNA double helix. That was a woman who discovered that. Her name is Rosalind Franklin, and nobody's given her any credit as she's the actual discoverer of the DNA. The information was taken by Watson and Crick without her even knowing it, and they published it before she could publish it. So the truth, this woman, Rosalind Franklin, discovered the DNA double helix. Let's now say, what does all this mean? And I say, Francis Crick, co-founder of the so-called theory, came out in 1958 with something called the central dogma, which is being taught even at this moment in schools everywhere. And this was in 1958. And the story was information in biology only flows in one direction. It goes from DNA, the genes, to RNA, which is like a Xerox copy of the genes, to what is called protein, the molecules that make up our body. And I say the information flow was supposedly only one way, DNA to RNA to body, which then implies a very important fact, and that is, can your body, life, experience go back up and change the DNA? And the answer is nope. Right. So what was I teaching in the central dogma? Well, what we were teaching is, well, where'd you get your genes from? Oh, we don't know. We got the genes from mother and father, of course. Did you, plan these genes? It's like, nah, as far as we know, we just got the genes. Then I said, but the genes control your traits. And I say, if you don't like the characters you have, can you change the genes? The answer is no, we can't do that either. And then we told people genes turn on and off automatically, which means they control themselves. And then you go back, it says DNA, RNA, protein. Well, if the genes control themselves, then they control everything about the body. And this is why we're so interested in the human genome. So if we know all the different genes, we could engineer all the things that you want. Like I'd like to, engineer some hair genes right about there someplace. But that was the point, that genes control our life. Well, that research it's still in the books right now. In 1967, I was cloning stem cells. Very quick, what's a stem cell? Well, your body is made out of a community of about 50 trillion cells. And I go, so when you look in the mirror and you see yourself, oh, there's a single entity. That's Bruce looking back at the mirror. And I go, but truth? Bruce is actually a community of 50 trillion cells. It's the cells that are the living entity. Bruce is, by definition, the community of. So your body's made out of all these cells, and every second we lose million cells. Boom, they die. Skin cells come off. The lining of the digestive system is replaced every 3 days. That's 1 trillion cells. And then I go, yeah, and here's the important part. Where are the new cells coming from? Because if you don't replace the cells, you have a very short life. You wouldn't make it past a few years, and then you'd use up all your cells. You'd be dead. So if you're still here, then guess what? You all have stem cells. And stem cells are the embryonic cells that replace the ones that die every day. So you all have stem cells. And I go, a stem cell, embryonic cell. So here's my research very quickly. I take one stem cell and put it in a petri dish by itself. It divides every 10 hours. First it's 1, then there's 2, then there's 4, 8, 16, 32. And I go, it doubles and doubles. And at the end of the week, I have 30,000 cells in the petri dish. Point. They all came from one parent. And if they all came from one parent, then they're all genetically identical cells. I have 30,000 genetically identical cells. And I say, what do? I say, I split them up into 3 dishes. So I have 3 petri dishes with 10,000 cells in each dish, but all the dishes, the cells are genetically the same. And here comes the secret. This is where it comes out. And I go, well, what? And I say, well, when you put cells in a petri dish, you grow them in a fluid called culture medium. I go, yeah, that's a support fluid. That's the environment that cells live in. I say, well, who or what is making this environment? What's in it? I go, here's the point. Culture medium in a lab is a synthetic version of blood. Yeah, I grow human cells. I say, what's in human blood? And then I take that chemistry, and in the lab, I mix it up and I make culture medium. So here's the story. 3 different petri dishes, but all dishes genetically the same. But I make up the culture medium and I make a slight change in the chemistry, just a little bit of chemistry change. So I have 3, got the story? 3 dishes, genetically identical cells, but 3 different culture mediums. Let's call them environment A, B, and C. The culture medium is environment. So I go, okay, in one dish, I put culture medium A, and the cells form muscle. In the second dish, I put culture medium B, and the cells form bone. And in a third dish, I put culture medium C, and the cells form fat cells. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking, what controls the fate of the cells? I say, they're all genetically the same. What made the difference between muscle, bone, and fat? The environment. And all of a sudden I said, oh my goodness, I'm teaching everybody genes make the decision. And then I'm watching, I go, it's the environment and interacting with the cell that makes the decision. And all of a sudden I said, it's the environment. I go, so why is this? Here's the most important reason. The old story, DNA controls life, makes you a victim of your genes. Yep. Hey, whatever genes you got, that's going to unfold, and that's your life. So pre-program. You got to pre-program in your genes. You're going to get cancer. You're going to get heart disease. You're going to die young. It's in the genes. That story makes you a victim. You're powerless. You can't change the genes. Okay. The new story. And the new name, let's go back to the old story. The old story is called genetic determinism. Genes determine the character. And the genetic determinism is the belief, of course, that your genes are programming your life and you can't change them. And so when I say this character is under genetic control, that sentence says this character is under the control of genes. Okay? Now, the new science, I change the environment and the cells change their fate. And I go, well, then the control is not in the genes anymore. The new science is called epigenetic control. I go, it sounds the same, genetic control, epigenetic control. I say, it's the epi, folks. I say, what is epi? Epi means above. I mean, what do we call skin? Epidermis. Why? Just below the skin is a layer called dermis. And I say, well, what's above the skin? Oh, what's epi above? Epidermis, above the dermis. Okay? Epi, listen to this. This is the breakthrough for you and me. Epigenetic control translates as control control above the genes. And I go, what is that? I say, it's environment. Because you can change that environment. And all of a sudden I said, well, then you're not a victim. I say, no, you're a master because you control the environment, which by definition means you control the genes. And I go, this takes you from victim to master, but you never had this knowledge. And so without the knowledge, this important point is useless because nobody understood it. They just still think I'm a victim. And I say, well, if you believe you're a victim, you manifest victim. That's your belief, and that's what you create. So after all of that stuff, where are we down to? I said, you are a skin-covered petri dish. you have 50 trillion cells under your skin. I go, yeah, you're a petri dish with 50 trillion cells. And I go, and you have the original culture medium, blood. And I go, so what's the point? I say, in the culture dish, it's the chemistry of the culture medium, synthetic blood, that controls the fate of the cells. But in your skin covered dish, it's the chemistry of your blood that controls your cells. It's the same in the skin dish or the plastic dish. The cells are controlled by the environment. Now, here comes the critical part. Well, that's based on the chemistry of the blood. And I go, yes, it is. And I say, this chemistry of the blood is controlling the behavior and genetics. I go, oh. I go, then comes the last question. You're ready for the last question? The last question is this. If the brain is making the chemistry, what chemistry should the brain be putting into the blood? And here comes a fact that will blow your mind. The brain translates the picture in your consciousness into chemistry. That each type of picture, whether it's love, anger, sadness, joy, each of these is a state of consciousness. And the job of the brain is to take that picture in your mind and turn it into complementary chemistry. So every time you have an emotion or a feeling, the chemistry of your blood changes because now you're putting in new chemistry that relates to the feeling. So if you're in love and all of a sudden you experience, I'm in love, then I say the brain releases some great hormones like, dopamine, pleasure. I go, yeah, that's what being in love is all about. It just feels so good. It releases oxytocin. Yeah, that bonds you to the source of that pleasure. And growth hormone comes out when you're in love. And I say, what does that do? It's, well, the name said it. Growth. It enhances your vitality. When you feel love, your vitality is increased because the chemistry of your blood enhances your health. Do you have to be in love with another person? I go, no. You can be in love with a pet. That works just as much. Or you can be in love with something you do. If you like cooking, you're like a chef and you're trying to make the most wonderful meal. That's being in love with what you're doing. Or a gardener who's out there, hands in the dirt, trying to grow something. I go, if you love to put your hands in the dirt and see the things grow and do that, I said, that's love, you know? So love, whatever it is, that gives you that joyous feeling inside. And again, it doesn't have to be another person. Is so critical because that love puts the chemistry of love into your blood, which enhances your vitality and your immune system. Okay. Now, in contrast, just to show you a difference, if I open my eyes and I see something that scares me, well, guess what? I don't put love chemistry into the blood. I put fear chemistry into the blood. I go, fear chemistry. I go, well, stress hormones. And you go, so? I say, you know what stress hormones do? Listen to this. Why? 90% of health issues on this planet, 90%, probably more, is due to stress. I go, what does that mean? I say that the chemistry of stress in the blood negatively impacts the body. Originally, just to make a difference, why would the body have a problem with, dealing with the stress? Because I said, when the body is evolving, what stress did we actually have? I'll give an example. A saber-toothed tiger is chasing us. I said, that's a moment of stress, folks. And I said, what happens? The stress hormones go into the body and they prepare you for running, fight or flight. Then you get away from that tiger and guess what? No more stress. So how long did that take? 10, 15 minutes. Okay. I go, so when we had stress in our history and in our evolution, it was only for a very short period of time, just temporarily get the body ready for fight or flight, just temporary. But today, stress is every day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. All of us are under stress. Do you have enough money? Will you be able to get health care? Will you be able to pay the rent? My God, there's stress all the time. This is why we have a healthcare crisis. Okay? And I say, why? The chemistry of stress. And I'll explain it in 3 steps. This is the result of stress, so you understand where the problem comes from. When you're in fight or flight, your mission is to run away from the saber-toothed tiger. And I go, so what does that mean? I say, well, you need all the energy in your body to run away from the tiger. And I say, well, what systems do I need to run away from the tiger? I say, well, mainly your arms and legs, because that's going to carry you away. And I say, okay. And I say, so why is that important? I said, because that's where you need the blood. Why? The blood is the energy to make those arms and legs move. So the more blood you have in the muscles and the arms and legs, the more powerful you are to run away from the problem. Okay. So I go, so where was the blood if there was no stress? And I go, oh, what else is in the body? Take the arms and legs off the body. What do you got left? You've got the gut, the viscera. You got the guts. And I say, well, what do they do? And I say, oh, they maintain the body. They clean it, filter it, put nutrients into it, remove waste products, replace the cells that are damaged, blah, blah, blah. I go, oh, so the gut is where all the maintenance of my body is being taken care of. And I go, yes. Now, here's the point. You're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. You think that you need to do all the work on the body right now? Maybe you could just like have an air raid siren or something and say, look, stop work. we're going to run. I say, well, what happens? And here's what it is. The stress hormones cause the blood vessels in the gut to constrict tight. I go, what does that mean? It pushes the blood from the gut to the arms and legs. That's the one I need to run with. Yeah, but what does it mean about the gut? And I say, it stops functioning. Maintenance of the body is out. Taking care of the system is out. Why? The energy is getting ready to run. So moment the stress hormones are in, you stop maintaining the body. Number 2, and this is the big one. You ready? Stress hormones shut off the immune system. Oh, yeah. I say, why is that important? Well, if you've ever been sick, you might have known maybe you didn't even have the energy to get out of bed. When the immune system is operating like that, it uses so much energy, you probably can't even move sometimes. I go, yep. So I say, you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. You have a bacterial infection. How do you want to split the energy? How much energy you want to fight that bacteria back? Or how much energy you want to run away from the tiger? Let me help you with the answer. You want all the energy to run away from the tiger. So stress hormones, listen to this. Stress hormones shut off the immune system to conserve energy to escape the stress. Oh my God. That means the more stressed you're under, the less effective your immune system is, because the stress hormones are shutting it down. I said there were 3 things, and the third one is also very important. When you're in a fight or flight, it's not time to think. And I say, what does that mean? I say, well, thinking is a very slow process. I ask you to think about something. You go, oh. I go, when you're running away from the tiger, you don't have to go, oh. You don't have time for that. You got to run. So stress hormones shut off thinking. I said, what do you mean? The blood vessels that are behind your forehead here in the brain, this is where thinking occurs. I say, what happens? What happened to the blood vessels in the gut when the stress hormones came in? They squeeze shut. I say, well, why do I want to shut the blood vessels off in my brain? I say, you didn't. You shut it off in the conscious brain up here. But that pushes the blood to the hind brain, and that's where the reflexes and the reactions are coming from. So you don't have to think and waste time. Just put the energy right back in there. Let's make an action right now. So I say, we become less intelligent when we're afraid. And then I say, well, look at the world today. It's chaos. It's fear. I mean, the COVID thing scared everybody so much. They said, don't even talk to anybody. Put your mask on. Keep away from everybody. The businesses shut down. But I said, oh, my God, this is fear? And I go, that is the result. And that happens inside the body. Everything shuts down that would keep you going when you're in a state of fear. And this is why over 90% of illness is directly related to the stress that we're living in this world. And you might say, well, what about cancer? I'm going to tell you a most important fact. Just listen to this. There is not one gene that causes cancer. Ah, what about all the cancer genes? I say, no, those are genes that will support the cancer, but they're not genes that cause the cancer. I go, well, wait, there's no genes that cause cancer? I say, no. I said, then what's the cause? You ready? Disharmony in the biology. Remember, your cells are a community. Think about it this way. If you have a bad leader of the community, a bad president or prime minister, I go, then what happens? I say, there's not happiness in the community, disharmony. And I said, what if you have a good leader? And I said, then the community is right behind them, supporting them. So I said, but your mind is the leader. I say, is your mind sending good information? I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm strong, I'm in love, I'm enjoying my life. Or is your mind sending, be careful, be afraid, watch out, somebody's going to get you, you're not going to have this? I go, what's the difference? And I go, the difference is that stress hormone. It shuts down your maintenance of your body. It shuts down your immune system, and it shuts down your intelligence. And when you stop using your intelligence, that's what's controlling the community of 50 trillion cells. So all of a sudden it becomes important to recognize your consciousness, your thoughts are the government. Are you sending
Boy,
good thoughts?
Yeah,
ahead, Stevie,
what a valuable, I mean, this whole narrative that you just stepped through, this contemporary story of biology, and then bringing it back to what's happening in the world today and why it's happening, where we look at this whole, how biology and these old beliefs about genetics are not serving us, and which is why I know you're taking the time to unfurl this story. So it's like, hey, let's get educated. This isn't working well. This is not working well. Let's educate people, because then you can reverse all of these things. We can bring our thoughts back, our immune system back, our happy community back, harmony back, conscious living back. So, yes. Beautiful. Yeah, very, very important there, Bruce. We're going to be sure to.
Well, this is Humanitysteam. The whole mission statement in a nutshell is that.
That's right. That's right. Boy, we're all about, we say make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040 in 18 years. Here we go. Here's some valuable information in terms of what we can do to live our lives, to bring back health and well-being. And you're even addressing cancer, and things. So fantastic. We're going to cut that little narrative out and put it over on our YouTube channel, because it was packed with wisdom there. So let's go to, now Bruce, there are a number of things that we want to get to here. One, Bruce was a part of the Global Oneness Summit, Birthing a New World, our 13th annual Global Oneness Summit. And Bruce, thank you for that. We've got a little clip we're going to go to, and then we're going to come back and talk about that. And then also there's a collaboration right now between Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden, two brand new programs that are launching, one next week. We'll tell you about those. But let's start by going to this little 2-minute clip here. This is from the Science of Interconnectedness panel. You'll enjoy this clip here with Bruce.
That a human body is not a single entity. It's a community of 50 trillion cells. So the simple truth is this: we are skin-covered petri dishes with 50 trillion cells inside. And I go, and guess what? We have the original culture medium, because culture medium is a laboratory version of blood. So I say, oh, in my skin-covered petri dish right here, I have environmental culture medium, blood. And I say, yeah, but in the chemistry of the culture medium changed the genetics of the cells in the plastic dish. And I go, it works exactly the same in the human. The chemistry of the culture medium controls our genetics. And I go, but the culture medium's the blood. And then all of a sudden you start to follow and say, well, who's the chemist that creates the chemistry of the blood? Because the chemistry of the blood is going to impact the genetics. I go, the brain is the chemist. And that took us to the next step. They said, oh, the brain is mixing the chemistry that goes into the blood, which then controls the genetics. And then, of course, leads to the next question: what chemistry should the brain put into the blood? And all of a sudden it says, oh my goodness, whatever picture we hold in our mind, the brain translates that picture into complementary chemistry. There's a chemistry for love. There's a chemistry for fear. There's a chemistry for anger. And I go, oh, so whatever we are consciously thinking, it's translated into chemistry, which then makes the genetics match the thought. I go, oh my goodness, then we're not victims of our genes. We are the masters of our genes. And all of a sudden it says, then where the heck is all the disease coming from? I go, less than 1% of disease is coming from genes, less than 1%. Then all of a sudden, the big question is that where's all this health crisis disease coming from? And the answer is the chemistry is a result of stress living in this world. And all of a sudden it says, yeah, but is that an accident? I go, no, we are manifesting stress and then changing our genetics into disease. And I say, so what's the bottom line? The idea that people are programmed with their victims of their genetics turns out to be completely false because they're masters of their genetics. That's what epigenetics is all about. It says you change your mind and you change your biology.
Okay, and such an important message, which is what Bruce spent even more time kind of unfurling that narrative.
It sounds like
and
we
then
just
there it
copied
is.
it and played it again.
There it is, distilling it, yeah, down. So we're epigenetics, where we understand we're the masters of our biology, of our genetics, of our lives. Such an important message. So let me share. This again was part of the Global Oneness Summit. There were 60 programs this year during the summit, over 100 speakers. The whole Global Oneness Summit collection is on the Humanitysteam Plus platform. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, so our objective is to get this conscious streaming platform offered in every home, in every region of the world, translated in all major languages, because there's wisdom like this in science and philosophy and spirituality and health and well-being, etc., so that people can really get this whole journey to conscious living, to health and well-being, where we bring it into our homes and then connect our hearts and our hands and bring it into the world, make conscious living pervasive worldwide. This is our mission in Humanitysteam. I'll just mention also that Bruce has right now 50 programs on the Humanitysteam Plus platform. So you might want to check that out. There now are two plans. There's an annual plan paid once, and there's an annual plan paid over 12 months. So you can see what works better for you. Now, let me turn to this new collaboration here between Bruce and Greg Braden. There are these new programs that are launching next week. The program that's launching is called A 5-Year Guide to Your Future. Discoveries that will supercharge the way you live, think, heal, and love. And we're unveiling it for the first time Wednesday next week at 5 p.m. Pacific. Greg will be there to answer questions live. Now, that's going to lead into a program, then a masterclass with Bruce Lipton as a special guest, Nassim Harriman as a special guest, some others. And it's all focusing on this whole 5-year guide to your future. So the things that we're talking about here now, where we're looking at the stress and challenge in the world, the darkness and the dysfunction, this is a theme Bruce is coming back to. And he's saying, we're creating this. I mean, this is what's so mad about this. It's not like we don't have control. We have absolute control. We're creating this dysfunction out in the world. So what this series is about is, how do we take back control, and how do we look at these future applications and technologies that are supporting us taking it back? And there are other things, technologies that aren't supporting us, where AI goes too far. But what's the journey? What's the path that we could take, to create healthy homes again in a healthy world? That's what this whole collaboration is about. So, Bruce, I don't know if there are a few words you want to put to this, but we're excited to have you in this program and other programs that are in pipeline. We love partnering with Bruce, because if you follow Bruce, the biggest thing to Bruce is what's happening in the world and what we can do about it, how we can journey to a conscious future that works for everybody. That's what's on Bruce's heart.
Yes, it is. Because we're facing something that the whole globe is feeling, but not collectively understanding. There's an old story: you can be among the trees and see this tree and this tree and this tree, but if you pull back, you see, oh my God, I'm in a forest. When we look at the chaos in the world, I can say, look at the chaos in this country, in this country, in this country, in this country. I go, no, pull back. we're in a giant forest of chaos. And the biggest underlying reason is human behavior. And I said, well, human behavior adjusts my cells. And I go, yeah, but human behavior is altering the environment. So not only are we influencing the inside, we're influencing the outside. I go, so what? And I go, human behavior, and this is a fact, has so messed up the web of life that the web of life is collapsing. We're losing species faster than ever before. We're going downhill. The environment is polluted. The air, the water, the soil is all polluted. And I go, why is this important? We're destroying nature. I go, yeah. But it's like, no, you don't understand. We are part of nature. We evolved from nature. And I go, so? I go, well, if nature disappears, so do we. And this is what scientists have been telling the public for 15 years, but the media keeps it in the back and doesn't want to talk about it. And that is this: for over 15 years, science has been telling the world that we are facing what is called a mass extinction. Like, what's that mean? I go, some event causes up to 90% of life to disappear, and then it starts all over again. I say 5 times in the history of this planet, life was thriving, and some event wiped out up to 90% of life. The last time was 66 million years ago. There were no people at these previous ones. And I say, what happened 66 million years ago? I say, a comet. A big comet hit near the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. And I said, then what did it do? It was so big a comet, it destroyed life, the web of life. And life fell apart. 75% of life disappeared. Boom. I go, that's when they had dinosaurs. Guess what? We don't have any more dinosaurs. I said, what happened to them? I say, mass extinction. They got wiped out. Well, today we're in the 6th mass extinction. Science has been telling the public 15 years, we have the data, we are going extinct. And here's the most important part. Human behavior is destroying the environment. That means we are destroying our own livelihoods. If the environment goes, so do we. And I go, so why is this so important? And it's because human behavior is not, remember, it's not just destroying the environment now on the outside. I said, what's happening on the outside is also happening on the inside. I go, yes, the chaos of the outer world is the chaos of the intercellular community, and that's where the health crisis is coming from. And until we start to learn to live in harmony and balance with nature, our consciousness is distorting this. And I go, okay, quick take on this point. I said, our consciousness, I go, yes, and here's the point. The mind is what is creating the chemistry in the blood, which controls our biology. The mind is a computer. I go, yes, it is. And we always talk about the mind like there's only one mind out there. I go, no, there are 2 minds, and they have different function, and they learn in different ways, and this is where all the problems come from. I go, what does that mean? The 2 minds, the latest development of the mind, is right behind your forehead here. It's a lobe of brain tissue, like a little lid of brain tissue sticking out. It's called the prefrontal cortex. This is where our conscious mind is. And I say, so what's the difference of the rest of the mind back here? I said, that's called the subconscious mind, which means below conscious. Okay. So I say, well, what's the difference? I'll tell you what they are right now. The conscious mind, which is connected to your spirit, your soul, well, that conscious mind is the one that has the creative character. And I go, so what? And I go, when you're creative, you can have imagination. When you have imagination, you can manifest something. And I go, like what? And I say, well, our conscious mind would like to have what? Heaven on earth. I go, what does that mean? Peace, health, harmony, beautiful world, no violence, all this wonderful stuff. And I go, yes, this is exactly what most people in the whole world want. No war, no violence, no disease. Okay. So I'm going, yes, this is conscious mind creative. And the conscious mind, by definition, has wishes and desires and aspirations. I go, what does that mean? If I asked you, what do you want from your life? The answer is going to come from the creative mind. I want this, I want that, I want to be healthy, I want to have romance, I want to have a great job, I want to be able to do something. I go, okay, conscious creative mind. Now I say, but the subconscious mind, that's different. It's in a computer. uh, when you get a new computer, you can't use it until you put programs into the computer. How to surf the web or how to write a story or draw a picture. Those are programs. And the idea of the brain as a computer boots up, meaning it activates in the last trimester of pregnancy. But you cannot use the computer until the programs are put in. And I say the subconscious mind is the program mind. It's the same as the hard drive. Whatever programs are in there, that's what the subconscious mind can do, below thinking, below consciousness, meaning if you're not paying attention, the subconscious can do it. Well, right now it's regulating your blood pressure, your heartbeat. It's regulating your digestive system. It's doing all that without you having to do any thinking because it operates below thinking. I go, okay, so subconscious mind is not creative. It is habit, programs. And I say, and where do we get these programs from? And I go, because culture changes and culture in every different place is different, you can't put that into the genes. So when a baby is born, the brain is in a record mode to look at the behavior so that they can be part of the family and part of the community. An infant, when it's born, is observing the world and downloading, just like a video camera, the behavior. Watch the mother, see how a woman behaves. Watch the father, see how that father behaves. Watch the family, see how they behave. Watch the community, see how they behave. Not just see, but record it. This allows you to become part of a family and a community by knowing the rules without studying them. They were just downloaded. Whatever rules about life you saw from your father, how you're going to have in your subconscious. Whatever your mother acted and behaved, well, those are the programs in your subconscious. So the programs in the subconscious didn't come from your wishes and desires. They came from watching other people. Of course, we also did personal experiences, and this is real important. For example, when did you learn how to walk? I said, oh, before 2 years age? I go, yeah. And I say, you could be 102 and you're still walking? I go, yep, using the very same program that you got before two. Habits. Habit means they don't want to change. And I say, so where do you get your habits from? I said, the basic habits of how to be a person to live in the world, you got by observing mother and father and family community. And I go, okay, that was programming. It lasts for 70 years. The brain of an infant is in a state of hypnosis, downloading and downloading. No conscious mind, meaning no filter. Was that a good download or a bad download? I go, conscious mind's not working. You got good downloads, you got bad downloads. So, and I say, so what? I said, this is subconscious mind. But I said, once you become conscious, then you become creative. So in a computer, the hard drive is built into the machine, but on the surface is a keyboard. And when you type on the keyboard, you put your information into the machine. That's where creativity comes from. I say, okay, we're born, the computer brain boots up, lights up, last trimester of pregnancy, starts to download repetitions and patterns. From where? From the environment, observing mother, father, family, etc. Downloads, and these become programs in the subconscious. And then after age 7, you become conscious, and now you can type in what you want. Okay, now here comes the problem of the whole world, and that is this. The conscious mind can not only create the life we wish and desires, but the conscious mind can think. So what is that? What the heck does that mean? I go, thinking is not looking out. Thinking is looking in. Where's a thought? It's not out here. A thought is inside. So I say, when you are thinking, the conscious mind is busy inside and not paying attention to the world outside. I go, what does that mean? I say, well, if you're driving a car and you start thinking, guess what? Your conscious mind's not looking out the window anymore. It's looking inside for whatever you're thinking about. I go, who's running the car? I go, you learned how to run a car. It's called a habit. It's a subconscious program. The moment you are thinking, subconscious takes over the processes that you're not paying attention to. And that means whatever processes are playing from the subconscious, you do not see those behaviors. I go, why not? Because you're thinking and the programs are running automatically. You can't see your own program. I go, what does that mean? The behavior that you're spending, and here's the scientific fact, 95% of the day, the behavior you are creating is not coming from wishes, desires, and aspirations. Conscious mind, 95% of your behavior is coming from the programs, behaviors you got from other people. And it's not your life.
Boy.
And you're the only one that can't see you're playing the program subconscious, because your conscious mind is paying attention to the thought. So whatever's coming out, you don't see it, but everybody else does. I've told the same story, probably a half a dozen Humanity Teams filmed, but I'll tell it again.
It's so important. Yeah, because what you're doing, absolutely, you're explaining kind of how this process works, where we're just, for the first 7 years, just imprinting, the parents' way of doing things is kind of imprinted on the system, and then these habits that are there that run amok your whole life. And when there's challenging circumstances out in the world, like today, then it just escalates. So your immune system gets worse and worse and worse, loss of thoughts, which is why I know Bruce taking the time to go through this is, hey, we need to take, we can, epigenetics, we are the masters of ourselves. This is how it works. And I thank you, all of us in Humanitysteam, thank you for being so patient and kind in the way that you take people through this whole process of how life works, and how for many people we're not really conscious, at least in the way we define consciousness. We're not really ultimate reality of who we really are. Our invitation, you call it, to live in heaven on earth, which is where we're living consciously, where these loving thoughts, as Bruce was sharing, which can be relate to cooking, our relationship, but loving thoughts where we take back ourselves, we take back our life. Let me just share, Bruce has created a number of master classes. So the Science of Self-Empowerment with Greg Braden and the HeartMath leaders, Deborah Rosman, Howard Martin, that is a 24-module masterclass on the Humanitysteam platform. Also Technology, Consciousness, and Evolution, that was with Greg Braden and Lynn McTaggart. That's another 24-module masterclass on the Humanitysteam platform. And then he's coming in as a special guest. This new program next week, the one that's coming out next week is actually called From Surviving to Thriving, which is what Bruce has been talking about here. How do we, right now we're not even surviving real well, he's saying, planet's in trouble. So let's move up here. Let's move up to surviving, then we can move up to thriving and really get this whole thing working, which is Bruce's mission in life. It's why, as a nonprofit, we love Bruce. It's all about, creating better lives, a better world, true health and well-being. That's his mission, and he tirelessly is out in the world creating classes, doing, guest speaking, hosting sessions. He just came back from Europe. He was in Paris there, and then of course he goes to New Zealand where he teaches. So Bruce, we just appreciate you so much for your heart and just the way that you give of yourself every day of the week, every day of the year. Let me bring in some questions, because we've got quite a number here. Lisa says, Bruce, what's your take on glutathione? So and that question is in here a couple of times. So.
Yeah, glutathione is a neurotransmitter, affects what's going on inside the body. And I say, but we always say, well, this hormone affects this. And I go, no, this is again a problem of medicine reducing everything into this causes this. And I go, wait, in biology, everything is interconnected. There are multiple hormones out simultaneously. So you can't describe life using one hormone and what's going to happen in the nervous system, okay? So, basically, it says, well, it might be involved, but I'll tell you what the most important thing is. Your consciousness creates everything you want. If you take a product from outside, a drug or a supplement, listen to this. It works because when it's inside the body, that drug or chemical has a receptor on the surface of the cell. Receptors are like eyes, ears, nose, what's going on in the world. And if you take a drug, it only works if the drug matches the receptor. And I go, yes, that's true. And then comes the most important point. Well, if I already have the receptors, did nature give me the receptors waiting for me to take the supplement? I go, no. If you have the receptors, your own brain can make all of the signals. That means the receptors are there because you can already make the signal. So this is the issue. And I said, well, why do we take so many drugs? And I said, well, maybe your brain's not releasing the signal, which is where the signal comes from originally. I mean, if the drug works, it works because you can do the same thing. And I said, then why aren't you doing the same thing? I said, what's your consciousness all about? I say, you're manifesting a life, and maybe the glutathione or whatever hormones are necessary in the body, if they're not being released, why are they not being released? And I said, maybe it's because your picture in the mind has something that doesn't engage that. And therefore, it's like, well, I can make the glutathione, I can do all this, but will I make it? And I say, well, do I need it to fit my picture? And all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God. We're mastering a manifestation. Your mind is taking in a vision, a creative vision of what you want, and then releasing the chemistry to manifest that vision. But you got programmed. You had to put the programs in. You got that from other people, and 95% of your life is coming from the program. So therefore, you might struggle through life, even though you have the conscious wishes and desires to win. Consciousness 5%, program 95%. Are you living your life, or are you manifesting your program? And very quickly, if I can, because people say, well, what am I programmed? I say, yeah, you were being programmed even before you were born. You were programmed from a whole year, 0 to 1, another whole year from 1 to 2, another whole year from 2 to 3. I said, what program did you get when you were 0? You don't know. Your mind wasn't working. So quick take. Your programs are based on this. 95% of your life is coming from the program. Your life is a printout of your program. The things that you like and they come into your life, they come in because you already have a program to support those things. And now here's the one, the things that you work hard at and you struggle, you sweat over it. I'm putting a lot of effort in. I'm going to make this happen. I'm working on it. I go, why are you working so hard? And the answer is this: the invisible programs that you got from other people are sabotaging you and preventing you from getting it because they don't support that. And you're trying to override the program. I go, that's a very difficult thing to do, to override the program. But very quickly, when you fell in love with something and you experienced what was called the honeymoon, and I go, what does that mean? I go, your life was blah, 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 blah. And then you met someone, let's say, and you fell in love. And I say, 24 hours later, your life was not blah, blah, blah anymore. Your life was, oh, it's so beautiful. I'm so in love. Life is heaven on earth. Life is beautiful. I said, what do you mean? I said, you went blah, blah, blah. And then 24 hours, now you're creating heaven. I said, what was the difference? And here is the difference. When you fall in love like that, you stop playing the programs. And you keep your conscious mind, not 5%, but over 90% in charge. And the conscious mind has wishes and desires. So like, what? Once you stop playing the program and you start manifesting wishes and desires, that was called the honeymoon. I go, yeah, it's always there. It's always there. Except if you start thinking again, thinking then diverts the conscious mind to inside, and now the programs take over, and then all of a sudden the honeymoon disappeared. I want us all to have a honeymoon, because if you're all having a honeymoon, the planet is having a honeymoon, nature is having a honeymoon, and when we are happy and in harmony, so is nature. And this is what nature is trying to tell us: we're not in harmony, and this is why a mass extinction is looming until we change our consciousness.
Yes, let me bring in too just something simple that we can all do that relates to the honeymoon effect and this aspect of love, really being in the expression of love. And that's the simple thing of right now, with all of the things going on in the world, where we're doing our interior work, we're in nature, we're meditating, we're praying, whatever. We're all called to a particular station in life. Bruce, writing The Biology of Belief, hosting educational programs, leading these seminars and things all over the world. Humanitysteam, to create this conscious streaming platform, make it economical, put it in every home. So Bruce's wisdom and Greg Braden's wisdom and Lynn McTaggart's wisdom and HeartMath's wisdom and hundreds of others is there in the home. And but you, the viewer, bringing it back to you, you're called to a station in life where we embrace our station in life, the way that we're to give, the thing that we can do, the gift that we're to give. yes, this whole love thing that Bruce is talking about, and it can happen with a partner too, and some people are in a honeymoon with somebody new that they met. But we can, a whole life long, where we're in service like this, going to what we're called to, bringing our gifts to the world, helping the world to create health and well-being in our homes and in the world. It creates love. We feel great. We're love's expression. We're in service. So there's a real simple way all of us can come into this and override this programming that Bruce talks about that's back from age 0 to 7, which just is programming that is this old genetics, not the epigenetics that Bruce is the apostle of, where he says, no, we can put a saddle on this horse, we can ride this horse, we can take control, we can be masters of our destiny here with epigenetics. And so there's a simple thing we can do. Okay, let me bring in a couple of things here. Kathy says, I could listen to Bruce all day. So, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking that, Bruce. So Debbie says, what is the best way to decalcify the pineal gland? So there, people wanting to go into health kinds of questions here.
Okay, a little misinformation about the crystallization in that gland, and that is you were born with crystals in there before even living your life. The crystals are not an accident in that gland. The crystals are an important contribution to that gland. I say, what do you mean? I say, if you're old like me, I grew up in a time when we knew something called what was called a crystal radio set. I go, a crystal radio set? And I said, yeah, there's a mineral crystal called galenium. And I say, what about it? I said, if you take a pair of earphones and you connect it with a little pin to the galenium, just touch it, radio stations come out. I go, yeah, and you can adjust which one. You add a little toilet paper tube and wrap a little wire around it, and you can move a needle against it. You can pick out different radio stations from the crystal. I go, so why is it important? The pineal gland is the primary input of the biology. And directly below it in the brain, the brain's like this, like this little circle-like thing. At the very top is the pineal gland, and at the very bottom is the master output, the pituitary gland. And there's information coming from the pineal that goes through that part of the brain. And guess what this part of the brain is? Your life experiences and your biology. And I go, what does that mean? The signal from the pineal gland has to go through the life experiences and your stuff before it can go to the pituitary gland, which is the master output. Do I want to decrystallize my pineal gland? Absolutely not. I have crystals in there because the damn thing is working with the crystals, and that's why it came with the crystals. That's my emphatic no, I don't take supplements for that.
Okay. Good. So one last question, and we're actually about out of time. Boy, this hour's gone fast. So Anna has 2 aunts that died of breast cancer. And so this whole aspect of what caused that cancer, is coming around here for Anna.
Yeah. Let me answer very quickly because it's the most important question. I said there was no gene that causes the breast cancer, but the breast cancer runs in the family. So we always said it must be genetic, passed from one child to the next child to the next child. I go, before epigenetics, the only way you could describe the action of the body was through the genes. But through epigenetics, we know that the environment is programming the genes. So here's a simple scientific assessment, and understand what this means. They looked at what happens when babies are taken in, adopted by families and where there's cancer running in the family. When a baby's adopted into one of those families, it turns out the baby has the highest probability of expressing the same family cancer just as much as any of the natural kids in the family. And I go, oh, wow. And I go, so why is it important? You ready? Adopted baby has totally different genetics. It had nothing to do with the genes. It was the programming where the child in the first 7 years learns how to respond to life. If that programming prevents that person from expressing especially anger, that means that person, when they have anger in their body, do not have a program to let it out. then what that means is that anger, the heat of that, is really part that throws the balance off completely. And that initiates the cancer, which then activates the gene. The gene didn't happen first. First, environmental signal activated. That's why 50% of the women with the breast cancer gene don't get the cancer, but they got the gene. I go, yeah, why? Because they didn't activate the gene. And activation is environmental signal. That's what activates the gene. Environmental signals is what is your brain sending to your body via what was its program up here. And that's why cancer is a program up here, translated into chemistry down here. Epigenetics takes that chemistry, puts it in the body, and the cancer comes from that. The cells did not cause the cancer. The cells are the result of the cancer. You can kill all the damn mutant cells that are in there. I go, yeah, but you didn't stop the cause of the cancer. Consciousness, programming. It goes back to before you were born, even some of that programming. So that's the cause. The cancer is collaborating with the cause, but the cancer is not the cause. It's the result of the signal.
Yes, coming back to the environment, take control of your environment, take control of your destiny, epigenetics, where we find love's expression. And there are lots of ways to do that. I shared one where and we all need to come together anyway with challenges out in the world where we go to our station in life, so to speak, that we're all called to something. We all have special gifts, and where we just bring those special gifts to making the world a better place, our home a better place. It feels so good. We find this love expression thing, and voila, health and well-being are ours, which that's the whole point of this program. So where we come together.
Can I add something?
Please do. Yeah, please.
Because the first question I always get at the end of the lecture, of course, is, oh, that was nice stuff. How do I change the program? And I want to say, because I don't know which shows they are, and I'm going to leave that to Humanitysteam, but I know some of the programs that I've done with them actually give how can I rewrite those programs and take my power back? That is the secret of taking control back over your life, is to rewrite those programs.
Yes, so the Science of Self-Empowerment and Technology, Consciousness, and Evolution, these two programs that are on, they're 24 modules each with mentoring also on the Humanitysteam Plus platform. And then this new collaboration with Greg Braden, it starts with this free program we're broadcasting for the first time next week on Wednesday called From Surviving to Thriving. And you'll see Bruce be a part of that. And then keep your eye out. Bruce is a dear friend, so we're always in close touch regarding future things that we can create that just support this conscious journey, which is what it's all about here in today's world. Boy, with what's happening in today's world, I came from Silicon Valley, and the notion of just focusing on top line and bottom line growth today, are you kidding? No way. That's a kid's game. Hey, there are adult games to play here, namely creating health and well-being for ourselves and the world. So that's what we're all about. And viewers, thank you. Thank you for being with us here. Wow, what an incredible hour it's been. Bruce, thank you. He's just back from his European tour. Really appreciate you coming in live with us, Bruce. Let me just also thank my partners and colleagues here. There's Jim Gray in the studio. We're going to pull the camera back. You can see, so I'm here on the couch, and there's Jim over there. Jim, thanks for making this so smooth and easy. Nanette Kennedy, Andy Guski, Dee Meyer, Garth Catterall, Timothy Noah, or a few of my colleagues and partners that make this program possible. Thank you guys for getting word out on this program. Also, John Raymer and the Sign Network. Huge thank you to all of you folks that are supporting the Sign Network. So you'll see Bruce back with us here soon, involved in all of the good works that he's doing out in the world. Bruce, thank you for sharing your heart and your time with us. Love and peace and blessings, everybody. And back with you Wednesday next week, same time. Thanks for being with us.